What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome to Throwback Thursday. This is a series on my channel that I started as a way to get use out of the older eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So if this is your first time watching, the way this works is every Sunday I post a bonus video with the footage of me going through my entire collection and pulling 4 palettes for y'all to choose from. From there, I post a poll over in my community section with the names and pictures of each of the palettes. I give y'all a few days to vote, and that brings us to today. And this week was very interesting because we had very close numbers for the longest time. In fact, I was getting really worried that we were going to have a 4-way tie. We've had a tie before. I did 2 looks in one day, but I was really panicking because there's no way my eyes can handle 4 looks in one day. But in the end, one palette pulled through and prevailed, and that is going to be the Sugar and Grunge palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This one is so incredibly beautiful. It's a shame that you can't get it anymore. It's definitely one of my favorites from the brand. I don't have a whole lot from the brand. I don't have every single palette, but this one is just so beautiful. You have a little bit of everything in here. I love the layout in here, and we had this little bit of kind of mix up down here with her shimmers. If you're familiar with the brand, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, hopefully the brand will bring this palette back. I know there has been some talks about that and giving it a different name, but keeping the same color story. So who knows? We will see, but we are going to create a look with this one today. So I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes, get my hair out of my face, zoom y'all in, and we are going to jump into this week's Throwback Thursday look. All right, y'all, the MAC paint pot is on. We are ready to dive into this palette. So I have given a lot of thought as to what I want to do for my look while I was doing the rest of my makeup. And I think what I want to do is dive into these grays and these berry tones over here. I know, who am I? I don't ever play with gray tones. I'm not a big fan of them, but I've said recently I'm kind of coming around to them, and these have been so heavily ignored in this palette, and I really want to kind of play with them and create a look and then add a little pop of color. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this lighter gray shade up here, which is called Payphone. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one up with a Morphe M504 brush, and I'm gonna start by fluffing this into my crease. Nothing fancy. I'm just gonna use this as a transition shade. So I'm gonna go in very whimsical. I'm not packing the shade on. I'm going with back and forth swiping motions and just bringing it up to my brow bone, over to the inner corner, but not into the inner corner. And then I'm just gonna buff it out really good on the outer corner over here. Now, this palette, not only is it beautiful and I really enjoy the formula in here, but this one is just so nostalgic to me. It really takes me down a walk of memory lane. I was a child of the 90s. I was born in the 80s, child of the 90s, and then my better teenage years in the early 2000s. And every time I open up this palette and look at the shade names, I'm just flooded with memories of simpler times. Pop culture was so different back then. I miss MTV and watching like TRL live and seeing what the #1 song was, the #1 video was, watching like all of the music videos on TV, listening to your favorite song on the radio, calling in requests. The movies were just so good. Everything was just simpler back then, and I know you can say that about previous decades, but I feel like things just got so complicated when technology took over. I could go on a whole tangent of that, but I'm not going to. But my point was that this palette just, it puts me in a happy place. It makes me really remember the good times that I had, like the name Payphone. You don't even see payphones anymore, and I just think that's so fun. But let's go ahead and move on to the next shade. So I'm going to go in with this deeper gray shade right here, and then I think after that we'll pop into some color over here. So this shade is called Mixtape. Oh my gosh, see, I love that so much. And I am going to pick that up with, let's go in with a, nope, that's not the brush that I want. Let's go in with this one. This is a Sigma E28 brush. So I'm going to pick up that shade Mixtape, and I'm going to start to pack this on my outer corner, building up the depth, the shape, all of that. And I'll probably bring this down onto my lower lash line as well. I don't know yet. I'm going to wait on that because I don't know if I want to do like a colorful lower lash line or if I want to kind of mimic on the lower lash line what I'm doing up here on the lid. But this is absolutely beautiful. I can't believe I'm coming around to gray shades. All right, so I'm gonna go back with that first brush that I used for that shade called Payphone, and I'm just going right along the edges. I don't have any extra product on this brush, and I'm just kind of buffing and blending them out. But I wanna know, did you grow up in the 90s, or did you grow up in the 80s, or maybe even you grew up before then? But what's something that you miss about that time? Like I told you, I just miss the simplicity of everything. I miss the freedom of being able to just like go outside and play, because we used to go out like in the morning. We'd go outside and we'd be gone until that sun was down. The street lights came on, and that was your cue that it was time to go home and have dinner, and then you started everything all over again the next day. And now, like, you can't even let your kids out of your sight. I remember when my boys were little and I had to make the time to sit outside with them and watch them because, you know, things happen. But let's go ahead and move on. So I want to go into this deep kind of burgundy shade over here, which is called Drew. So I'm going to pick that one up with, where is the brush that I want? I'm going to go in with this one from BK Beauty. It's a 211 brush, and I want to start to build up a little bit of depth out here. And I think this is the shade that I'm going to bring down onto my lower lash line. So I'm just kind of putting it right here on my outer corner. I am bringing it in a little bit, and I'm just kind of buffing it in and adding this little pop of color out here. I think that is so incredibly fun. But like I said, things have just changed. They're so different these days. Like, I understand, like, we've always had like a lot of the things that you hear on TV, but I feel like it's just happening more and more these days, and it's just like, it's a scary world out there. Things just aren't the same, you know? And I miss that time, but it is what it is. I'm not going to get too much into that because we're here to have fun, unwind, do makeup, and just play around and relax. And that's exactly what we're doing. I love the way this is turning out so far. That the grays underneath this shade really kind of muted them and gave them more of a vampy, grungy vibe. Something that I didn't really have pictured in my head, but I'm really liking the way that this is going. But I'm just going to kind of blow out my edges over here. Same brush, no extra product. And then we're going to move on and deepen up this outer corner. For the rest of my lower lash line, I think I want to go in with this other kind of red burgundy berry shade right here that's just a little bit lighter than the one I put on my outer corner. This one is called Flannel. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO2 brush, and I'm going to flip this along the rest of my lower lash line and making sure I just kind of blend everything together and give me a nice seamless look. I remember being obsessed with flannels when I was in like middle school into the beginning of high school. I just loved them. I loved wearing them with like baggy jeans that had holes in them. My Doc Martens, oh, I loved my Doc Martens. I wish I had held on to them because they are back now. They are so extremely popular and they're wildly expensive. If I thought they were expensive back when I was in high school and middle school, I was sorely mistaken. But you know what? They were so clunky and uncomfortable, but we didn't care. We wore them, we loved them, and they were a fashion statement for sure. All right, so next I'm going to go into the shade Combat Boots, which is just a black shade, and I'm going to build up just a little bit of depth in this outer corner, give me a little bit more smokiness. So I'm going to pick that up with a Morphe M506 brush, and I'm very, very, very lightly going to tap it right here in this very outer corner. And then once I have most of that product off of my brush, I'm just going to kind of blend it with little swirling motions because I don't want this to take over. I definitely want this to be like a berry wine outer corner. I don't want it to be a black outer corner, but I want that little bit of depth, and there's nothing darker than the shade that I already put out there. So I'm just going to bring that down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well, and just kind of blend everything out really nicely. You see that little bit of difference that made? I love it. All right, so for all over the lid, we're gonna go into this shimmer shade down here, which is called Don't Speak. I love that name. I think it's one of my favorites in this palette. I loved No Doubt when I was in high school and middle school. I remember having their album. I listened to it all the time. I just couldn't get enough of it. But I'm gonna pick that brush up with a BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and per usual, I've already primed my eye with my NYX Glitter Primer as well, so we can make sure that we avoid any fallout. But like I said, I absolutely absolutely loved No Doubt. I still love Gwen Stefani's music. I'm not a big fan of her newer stuff. I still prefer her older stuff from like the 90s when she was with No Doubt and into like the early 2000s when she kind of broke off and did her own thing. And now I don't know. I just don't like her music quite as much as I did. I still like her. I'm just not a big fan of her newer music, but look at how beautiful that is. I absolutely love the way that this look is coming out. All right, to finish off this look, I want to go into the shade Bubblegum down here, and I want to put it in my inner corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with a Sigma E35 brush. Again, I'm going to spray it, and we're just going to pop this right in the inner corner. I'm not going to bring it down too far or up on the lid too much. I just want to kind of have it right in this little spot to give a little bit of lightness and brightness on this inner corner, just because I feel like my eyes really pop and look more open when I have more brightness on the inner portion and a lot of depth on the outer corner. It's just my favorite way to do my looks, and that is beautiful. I love it so much. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look with this palette, and I really love the way this one turned out. It's giving me sort of like a vampy grunge vibe, and I have to admit, I really like the combination of the cool tones and the warm tones in this one. But let's go over what I used to complete this look, and then we can turn the lights down so you can see that shimmer and the sparkle, and we will close out this video. So in my lower waterline and to tightline my lid, I went in with an Urban Decay 24/7 liner. This is in the shade 0. I decided to line my eyes the way that I did it back in high school and in middle school. So I went heavy with the black eyeliner and really tight lined under my lash line on my lid. And then for mascara, I went in with my Essence Lash Princess Waterproof Mascara. Alright y'all, so that is going to complete this week's Throwback Thursday video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know I did. I always have such a good time pulling out these older palettes, showing them a little bit of love, and creating these looks for y'all. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we will see the return of this palette somewhere in the near future. But as always, if there's a palette that you want to see included in Throwback Thursday, leave it down in that comment section, and if I have it in my collection, I am more than happy to pull it. But let me know all of your thoughts. What palette did you vote on? What did you think of the look? Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one.